Now we're back. Vale. Vamos a ver si estamos cierto. Esto está ya rolando. Are we running? Are we running? We are. Okay. Okay, so we're back. Let's keep doing what we are doing. Whatever it is we are doing, let's see. Let's give a brief explanation of what we want to do. What we want to do, okay, is to copy basically what Jonathan Blow did for the witness. In the witness, it would be nice to have a video, but in the witness, essentially, you have to solve this kind of puzzles. Let's try to look for a simpler one just to have a better idea. First puzzle. That will probably do it. I want one with very little info on it. And hopefully one that doesn't reveal the game. This will do it. Actually no. I'm more happy with this one. So, the idea of the game is that you need to solve the puzzles. The puzzle starts here and ends here. So you start drawing a line that goes inside the grid of lines. So you can draw like this, for example, you can draw like this, you can draw like this, but you cannot go where you already went to. So if I were to do something like this, I cannot backtrack here because I already blocked that. So this puzzle solution involves separating the black bits from the white bits. So you will do this. This will be the solution. You start here, boom. You come here, boom. For this one, the solution will be boop, yeah, boop. And that's the solution to this puzzle. We are gonna forget about the bits. For now, we only want a puzzle that we can solve by moving from the start to the goal. So the first thing we need for our code, well, the first thing, not really the first thing. Oh, you're not seeing this. Ah, okay, now it should make more sense. Well, that was very bad. So these are the puzzles. These are the what we wanna mirror in here. So the idea, we're gonna copy this one. So the idea is that you click here, boop, and you trace the line like this or like this. You can trace any line. The solution for this one, as I was saying, is to separate the black bits from the white one. So in this case, the solution will be this. There's a huge amount of puzzles in that game, and a lot of different rules. For now, all we want to do is to just make a line that reaches from the starting point to the goal, and that's it. That we will consider that a solution for our first level. So the idea with my grid here, okay, is to start here and end it here. So we will mark this as a goal, as the starting point, sorry, and we will take it to this side, and this will be the end of the puzzle. Initially we will allow any path, as long as you start here and you connect it to this point, that will be fine. And this is what we got so far. I did a couple of videos before today, and this is what we got so far. You can click here and you can start making a line. This is working fine so far, just as the game, but what I'm struggling with now, I want to go back and delete what I already did. So far so good, but it breaks. It basically breaks. If you do enough, right? If you use it for long enough, it just starts behaving in a really odd way, and that's because I suck. But we are gonna solve that step by step. So every day we come back to this, I will suck a little bit less. Anyways, let's get started. Okay, so let's try to clean the code a little bit. So I already have some done here. There's a lot of comments from the creator of this engine. This engine is called Perlenspiel. It's hard to pronounce. It's Perlenspiel. Well, it is essentially an HTML page and a JS file. Then Brian Moriarty, the creator of this engine, was so nice as to give us a lot of comments that explain how the engine works really well, and we also got a great documentation here. In our documentation we have all the information we need to make an engine. The goal of his engine was to demonstrate that in order to create a fun game, there's no need to have fancy graphics, animations, or basically anything fancy like high technology. The main thing you need to create a proper game, a proper fun game, it's good mechanics, good fun mechanics. What is fun? That's a hard one. But let's go with what we got so far. Let's take a look at what we got so far. So let's see. We have this variable that will allow us to know if the player is drawing a line. Is the player actively drawing a line? Then we have the line color of the line the player draws. Color when there's no line, empty color. When there's no line. Always comment your code, guys. It's just the best thing to do, especially if you work with people. If you work alone, you will just screw yourself. Screw yourself over. Okay, we have a cell. A cell, I define it with color, but I don't really want it to track color here. This basically is a little abstraction I made to have like a point struct. So the idea, basically, you pass it an x and y value, and then you just have a cell that contains that. So yeah, I think that's a good definition. A cell is a position on the grid, I think. I'm not gonna comment these two because for now I think they are not important, not being used. And this one is very important. Array of, oops, this is an array of cells that describe the line that has been drawn so far. So the idea is that we will have a solution line, so to speak, or maybe not, probably not. In any case, the idea is that we will store in line every cell that the user has drawn, and that will help us keep track of things like, I don't know, like how long the line is, what's the last part of the line that was drawn. Does this line has the proper shape? Maybe if we care about the shape in order to give a solution, it could be anything. It will probably be useful to know as well if what the user drew was actually a line, because maybe they managed to find a way to break the line and then it's two lines, not a line anymore. Okay, so next step is next step is actually to put the link somewhere, so maybe someone can join us. That'd be fine as well. Let's post it in Reddit. I am aware there's a streaming code subreddit. Just a penny. Yeah. So this is what we are gonna do. We are gonna log in. Very fun streaming so far. What the fuck was my password? Oh, I see. Never mind. Enviar un nuevo texto. exactly what I wanted. Can I do this? Okay, yeah. I have an apple. What? Anyways, oh, hello. Let's see. At the beginning of the streaming, if you're interested, maybe around, well, it's probably around the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes more or less. I gave an explanation of what I'm trying to achieve, and if the title is not enough. But I was doing a review of the code I wrote so far. So these are declarations. We can check if the player is actively drawing a line, the color of the line, the color when it's empty. We have an abstraction for cells, so we know positions and stuff. And we have the line itself that will be an array of cells. So let's show my spectator what we got so far, my viewer. So this is the starting, this will be the starting point at some moment as we implement. This will be the end, like so. I'm copying this one is the one I wanted to emulate first, and the idea is that we can draw a line like so. So this will be considered a solution in our game. Not for this one, but just reaching the starting point and the end will mean that we solved it until we implement more stuff. The problem is that so far we can draw and undraw, which is behaving properly, but now we start to have like some bugs here and there. So this shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be able to have blocks that are far away from each other. We are drawing lines, only one line. We cannot have this, so let's try and fix that. So what I was doing so far is comment my part of the code I wrote, just to see if I can wrap my hand around what I wrote so far and see if we can make it a little bit cleaner. I haven't wrote much yet. I basically wrote like 20-25 lines. Okay, so I think you have enough experience. Let's see, how much hours do I have? I completed recently. I have 27 hours. I don't have enough at all. I have to play way more. I have finished the main thing, but I only did 7 of the 11 areas, and I've learned recently that there's way more into it than I initially thought. I have like 50% of the puzzles done, apparently, and no. To be honest, in the witness anchor point are a small intersection and you have entire bits. It is easier to mark a spot as passing or not passing if you use the entire bit in your version. You know about the witness, but I think you don't know about the Perlenspiel, unless you do. But Perlenspiel, basically the basic idea of the engine, it's a very simple engine, and it is based on a grid, so you will always have the whole grid going on. The plan around the grid is to have this, let's see, my plan, better say, around the grid is to have like these parts, for example, are traversable, and so is these parts, but then these white, these corners, so to speak, these ones, in this case, those won't be, you won't be able to draw in there. We are still far away from that though. So this would be the part where you can draw. Each major grid could be subgrid into the center. Oh well, I mean, I can make the grid size be, I think, as big as I want. I don't know what the limitations of the engine are in that respect. So if I change a little bit the things, right, we have something way bigger, so to speak. But I want to start with a simple one. I want to start from a simple point at the beginning. Anyways, let's go back to our 5x5. So far I want to copy this one, not the black and white bits for now, but the lines, just the line grid system. So let's see, where were we? So the grid size 5x5 for now. Let's see. So this is the grid size. This is how we define the grid size, and this is the title that appears at the top when we are playing. Then I initialize some values here. And we probably don't want this here actually. I'm a little bit undecided. Anyways, ps.touch, if you don't know, is when you do a left click. You do a left click and then this function gets called. So when we click on a bead, which is how we call a cell in the grid, when we click on a bead, then the player starts drawing a line, or stops if it's already doing so. So this is for us to track if the player is or not drawing the line. This is the Perlenspiel function that we use to either paint a bit in a color or inspect what's the color of the bead, and then we push that cell position, which is X and Y. We push that cell position into our line array. So that's it. That will be the origin point. And because this is when you actually start drawing, what we are going to do is define what's the origin point. So let's start it. Let's define that here. Yeah, but let's starting point, and we are gonna call it 40 for this example, because that's that's the one we have. Actually, if we go to here, this will be 0 0, this will be 4 4, so 0 1 2 3 4. So 0 4 is gonna be the starting point, and the ending point is gonna be 4 0. So starting point is that, ending point it's this one. Wait, ending point. Okay, so once we have that, and actually I want to make the line be empty here as well, just to make sure. Starting point and the ending point will be those. So now we come back to our code, and when we click if player drawing line, right? Okay, so if is player drawing line, we wanna color it and push it. However, we also want the player to only start drawing if he clicks on the starting point. So the starting point is, so we want x and y to be the same as starting point. So let's write that. X equals starting point x, and y equals starting point y. And if you are paying attention, you may have noticed this is JavaScript, so we want 3 equals. Why? Just because JavaScript is special, is our special kid. It's the special kid of the class. It's fine, we like him. And I also added a comment here. This is why it's good to have comments, especially if you have bad memory like me. Oh! Sorry, I'm getting used to the streaming. Okay. I know there's an OBS feature to change scene automatically, but it's just not working very well for me, so I'm doing it manually. So hopefully I don't forget it a lot. As I was saying, if player is drawing line and x is a starting point, x, and y is the same starting point as y, is the same point as starting point dot y, right? Then is when we want to color it. Let's test it. So this could probably be more elegant, but I'm fine with that for now. Let's show the game. Okay, we always need to refresh in order to actually see what's going on. So if we click outside, oh, god damn it, this shouldn't be happening, but it's happening because we are drawing the line anyways, and we shouldn't. As in, let's go back to the code. The problem is I am making is player drawing line true, and then the rest of the code that I already wrote doesn't know that you can only start from this point, so it's just drawing because of this. The solution I will do is just make is player drawing line false here, just in case that happens, which will happen. So if we go back to our game, our very fancy game, I think this time, okay, we cannot start from anywhere. And it seems like I put the wrong coordinates in. Starting point. This is interesting. Oh yeah, of course, this is X and this is Y. Sorry, I thought I write it properly, but no. It's not the engine that does it the other way around, it's me. It was me, Leo. Okay, now let's try it again. We cannot start from anywhere. There we go. We can only start drawing from this point. So that's fine. What we want to do next is to actually delete everything when we are not drawing. So if we are not drawing, we just delete everything. And I happen to know, because I think I saw it earlier, I think our very cool, fancy little engine has a function for that. A function where you not only draw the one cell, but you can also affect more than one cell at the same time. And I think it's called ps.all. I think that's the one we call. Yeah. So ps.color. We want to do ps.color because we want to well, basically reset the color of all cells to the empty color. Our empty color right now is white, so all of these black bits will become white. So x and y will be integer or ps.all. And the thing is that here in the documentation, I read this earlier on my first streaming, the required x and y parameters indicate the zero base, column and row position of the bit respectively. An error occurs if either parameters is negative or exceeds the dimension of the grid. Multiple bit assignment is supported using ps.all. This is what we care about right now. So let's see what multiple bit assignment is. Bit commands use x and y parameters to specify the bit you want to control. The Perlenspiel constant ps.all can be used to modify all of the bits in a given row or column, or every bit on the grid with a single call. Oh, so we can affect row and column. Okay. If x is specified as ps.all, every bit in row y is modified, and the return value is the status of the last bit in row y. Similarly, if both x and y are ps.all, every bit on the grid is modified, and the return value is the status of the bit in the last column and row of the grid. Okay. We don't care about the return value for now, so that's fine. The handy ps.applyRect utility lets you apply any function to a specific rectangular region of the grid. Okay, so as I understand it, oh, I see. I have to say that Brian Moriarty created a really elegant little engine. Might be a little bit silly to say so. It's not like I'm an expert on engines or anything, but it seems really intuitive to me, how it works, how everything works. So I think that's that must be good. Okay, so if player is not drawing, for now we are gonna just delete everything. So if no is player drawing line, oops, that's my GD script. Okay, let's show code. If not is player drawing line, so if player is not drawing a line, we empty everything. Yep, I know. We empty everything. So to empty everything, as the documentation says, ps dot color, and if I understood it properly, right, to this one you can pass. So ps color accepts 3 arguments, but the third one is optional. When you pass the third one, you want to put a color on it. When you only pass x and y, you want to know what color is already in there. So we will put x, y, and line color. Instead of line color, what we want is to empty it, so we will put empty color. However, x and y in this case will be whatever you touched, which is these arguments. If we do ps.all, I'm not sure, the documentation, it comes in caps, in uppercase, yeah, but I believe it's lowercase, might be lowercase. We'll discover very soon. So let's test this. I think this will do it. Let's go back to the game. Okay. Okay, so you cannot hear this. I'm gonna show it to you just because you're a very loyal viewer. So when in this engine, when you have an exception and some problem happens, and the engine knows that it happened, let's say like it doesn't break completely, you get some feedback noise that something broke. Right now it's breaking, so if it breaks, you get that. I think you can hear it properly, and it's broken. So when it's broken, you get the uh-oh. So what is broken? We'll see. It's probably the way I wrote ps.all. ps.color is x argument, not a number. Yep, that's the thing. Let's go to the documentation and see if all is a function or what is exactly all. ps.all. So if it's on uppercase, it must be a constant, and maybe it's just that it should be this way, and it's probably that. Okay, so Brian Moriarty has he really understands what a game is. Part of the philosophy is that the Perlenspiel itself is more a game than an engine, as he puts it, because it's just fun to actually do this. I'm finding it really fun anyways. Like in any other engine, most of it, a lot of it is fun because you're doing something you like maybe, but there's a lot of things that you have to deal with that are a little bit, sometimes they are more of a chore than actual fun, which is fine as well. But I've been having fun since I started with this, and that sounds like this is all a game to me somehow. So let's try that. Let's try ps.all in uppercase. I think that should do it, hopefully. Yep. So now we can stop drawing. And I think that's fine for us. The highlight, I added it. That's not something that you have in the witness, but I come from web design and you need to be clear. Okay, so we have clearing the screen and all that, okay. I can remove this to do, but now we are gonna add another to do here, another to do comment or new to do comment, because I just deleted this one. Empty line cells, not blocker cells. So we are already deleting everything, but we don't want to clear the cells that are not the line itself. So we are gonna only delete the line. We still need to do that. But another thing I want to add inside this is that we don't want the lines or whatever it is, we don't want it to be deleted like instantly. We want to hide it slowly, gradually. So my to do here is change to empty color, slowly, for lack of a better name. So just like in the witness, when you stop drawing, most of the time it fades away rather than just disappearing, which is nice if you are trying to reach the solution and you have bad memory. It's good to know, like, to keep track of what you were trying as a solution. Sometimes it helps. Especially if you are brute forcing a solution, which you shouldn't do, and usually doesn't help in the witness, unless it's very, very simple. Okay, so next function that we are gonna rethink a little bit, because this is starting to look a little bit messy. I think, like, I want to figure out if the order of what I wrote is correct and all that. So let's see. So ps.enter runs every time the mouse gets inside as a bit. So if we go to the game, right, when I do this, boop, when I just go into the grid, right, into a bit of the grid, ps.enter is called. That's called when you go into a bit, and ps.exit, which is here, right, ps.exit is called, as you might assume, when you leave the a bit. So we are playing here with that. For example, when I go into one of the bits, right, and the player is not drawing a line, we color gray. And I'm actually going to add that check. So if the player is not drawing a line, we are gonna make it gray. So we can just have this here in a nicely else. But I was making this check to not paint on top of the black beads, but I think we don't need this check anymore if we are just drawing gray when the player is not drawing a line and we go enter. Let's try it, but I'm pretty sure we don't need this line, which is already making it look better to me. I was writing code earlier while I was hungry. You know, when you are hungry you code faster and worse. So now the hovering still works, highlighting, can still draw our lines, so it looks fine to me. It probably even works better in some unexpected way. So here you can see, if I go back to the code, here you can see an example of how the coloring works. The color function works. So you can see we are inspecting the color. So if the color of this cell xy equals the line color, so if it's already black because the user is drawing a line, things happen. Let's see. Let's go to check the exit first. So yeah, let's go to the exit function first. That's fine, okay. So when we exit a cell, by default, we color that line. Well, we define the color function. We define it the original color that the cell was. So we just have this variable because then if the player is not drawing a line and the color of this cell is, of this bead, is different than line color, right? So if it is in black at this time, then we empty the color. Well, we put the white instead in there. So this is basically when we exit a bit that was where we were hovering, right? And we are not drawing a line. If we are not drawing a line, we are basically just highlighting wherever the mouse goes. So when you leave that that bit, you just make it empty again, and that clears the gray color from the highlight. So we don't we don't paint the line with gray. So we only paint one cell at a time. So we paint the cell, the bit, we paint it gray, and then we empty it here. So for now the exit function is good for that. So the rest of the code that you see here, it's basically to draw the line. This is what is actually drawing the line right now, because we don't really need the TML a lot or at all. We are gonna focus on the JS code. So color equal empty color is player drawing line. So is the player drawing? He is drawing. So the last drawn cell will be line length -1. So this is the one where the user was right before he entered. So this is the case where something has already been drawn, and this is where you go into one that is empty at the moment. So we may change this a little bit. In any case, what I'm doing right now, what we are gonna start with the example of moving into an empty cell. So if the player is drawing a line, we don't care about this a lot. Let's gonna say that because the color is empty, is different than the line color, so it will go into this, and this is where the line starts being drawn essentially. So the color we'll use to paint this bit is gonna be the line color, that's the black, we have, and the line and to the line array we push our new cell. Basically we store the position of each bead that we painted in the order they were painted in, hopefully. So on the next iteration what I'm gonna do is, before doing anything, I think it would be better to check if it's empty. If it's empty, I think that makes more sense. If ps.color is empty, yeah, empty color. If ps.color xy is empty color, right, we draw the first this bit of the line, and I'm gonna comment this part just to make sure this bit works as intended. Yeah, I would say it does, just that now we cannot delete anything. Okay, back to the code. So now if that cell where the user is trying to draw the line, is not empty, now what happens if it's not empty? If it isn't empty, then we want to make some checks. For example, instead of whatever I was doing here, we may it's actually already pushed, isn't it? Maybe we don't wanna do an else. Maybe we wanna push it, and that could be it, but I wouldn't say so. This is the part where I stopped streaming, so I haven't give all of this a thought, so to speak. So we need to think this through a little bit. The good thing is that I'm not hungry now, so we should be able to actually think and not just call quickly. I'm getting a call. Who's calling me? Oh. Okay, sorry guys, but I have to stop this for a second. Okay, we are back. Sorry. Hopefully it wasn't long. Okay, so PS color. Where were we? Okay, so let's write a to-do statement here just to if you define a goal, not halfway, but you are getting closer. If you actually define a little goal step by step that you wanna do, I think you are more likely to get somewhere than if you just write code randomly, which is what I usually do, and we have to grow out of that. So player is drawing a line, and also commenting the code is very, very useful, so we are gonna do that because I like commenting too much. So I also think it's never too much anyways. Empty color, okay, if this cell is empty, it's quite straightforward, but if this cell is empty, color it. Whoop. Otherwise, check if the line, check if the player is going backwards. Check if the player, more than going backwards, check if the player is on a cell that exists. I don't think that's right. We want to try and make it work like in the witness. In the witness, you kind of have to go and backtrack a little bit if you want to go back. You cannot like just go in the middle of what you draw. If you try to go into that, okay, so yeah. Not a good explanation, but I'm trying to sort my mind. So if the player is going backwards, let's go with that for now. If the player is backtracking, erase the last line, the last B that was painted. Now, that's my assumption. Is that assumption correct? Check if the player is backtracking. If he is, erase the last bit that was painted. Hey LED, are you do you have Romanian friends? I went to Romania recently. I loved it. Have you ever been there? Check if the player is backtracking. If he is, erase the last bit that was painted. I see. I liked it there. They have good food. Otherwise, check if the player is backtracking. Yes, it's the last bit. The last bit that was painted. So is always the last bit that was painted the one that it will be erased if the player goes back? I think so, right? So, but it has to be added before I delete it. The thing is that if I delete the one I just entered, that's the middle one. Yeah, obviously. So yeah, we want to delete the last one that is on the line array. Okay, so this assumption seems correct to me so far. So this line of code seems alright. Because if I do this, it's gonna get out of the array. So we want to -1 because we start counting at 0. Unlike those damn Lua programmers, they start arrays at 1. Peasants. Let's see. They think they are normal people that it starts counting on 1. So, we already know that whatever is in there is not the color of emptiness. So because it's not the color of emptiness, something has to happen. But we should actually check that this position has the color of the line, because we may not want to delete the line unless it's going backwards. If he's going backwards, like totally backwards, on top of the line, following the line, we want to delete the line. But in the witness, sometimes you put the mouse, like the line tries to go as close to the mouse as possible, rather than just be delete if you are going the wrong direction. Those lines get blocked with everything. Anyways, so yeah, so this assumption is correct as well, I think, from earlier. So the cell that we just enter has to be the color of the line. It doesn't really has to be, but we are gonna have that assumption from now. The other assumption why would you make that assumption though? That's probably not necessary. The other assumption is that x and y must be 0. Oh, okay, no, that's from a previous moment, okay. That's fine. PS dot color x y equals line color. That's fine. The one we just entered is the line color. Do we care about that other assumption that the last round cell is also the line color? If it's the last round cell from the line, it's gonna be the line color. Yeah, this question I did earlier is stupid. This is what happens when you are hungry and you call. Okay, so if x is not 0 and y is not 0, that's because of the origin point, starting point. So instead of that, right, we don't want to pop the origin point. If the user is hovering over the original point, starting point, right, we don't want this to happen. So more than 0, because that was my assumption earlier, and that doesn't work because it's not 0 and 0. A starting point, this works way better. Starting point x, starting point y. Y. So if x and y is not the starting point, so if this bit is not on the starting point, we delete. But that actually doesn't really work, does it? I'm not sure we need to do that check. what I think is that we want to check something like the length, but for now let's comment it, because I'm not so sure we need this. Let's go more with, whoops, let's go more with empty in colors. So this one is supposed to be alright. So last round cell dot x dot last round cell dot y empty color. So we make it white on the last round cell. The problem, what could be the problem? The problem could be that if it's empty color, let's see, it might actually work, but we need to pop from the line. I think we can pop from an array in JavaScript, but I'm gonna make sure, like, I should totally know this just by having done so a million times, right? But I like to make sure, and returns that element. Yeah, I also wanted to know that. So if instead of doing this I were to pop, instead of doing it here, it looks nicer to me, but it may not work as intended. So test, always test. So we cannot click anywhere, that's fine. Starting point, okay, this works, is working, keeps working. Oh, this is way less buggy than before. Now I broke it, I don't know how, but it seems way better. I wonder how can you manage to do this? This is a little bit a pain in the ass, right? Because it seems like I can go into the grid without really hovering, but well, the user kind of has to want to do that. But it seems to happen too much, like it's too easy to do that. Maybe it's a problem with my implementation. I don't think it is, to be honest, but it may be. So yeah, I see what LED means. Like, we want to mark each point as something you can draw and something you can't. But I already thought of that, of solving that in some way. What way is it? It's probably not the best way, but maybe it is. We'll try that. So let's create another function. I think I'm gonna add my functions here. So I could add it to Perlenspiel, but that doesn't really make sense, does it? So let's say bar, not right. Function. Let's go to code. Is with is with draggable, passing point, anchor, if with grid. What could be a good name for this? Is with let's see, there has to be a good name for it. Is with a passing point. That doesn't sound right. Is with in grid line. That doesn't feel like I would understand what it does tomorrow, right? Return is bit possible to pass through. That could be a name. Is bit passable? Is bit walkable? Is bit walkable? Doesn't seem bad. I know we don't walk in this game, but that works for me, for now at least. Can be filled. It's gonna be true until it's false. See. Now, when is a bit not walkable? I don't like that name. When is a bit not walkable? I may need to end the streaming abruptly later, but that's just how it's going to be, I'm afraid. Is bit walkable? X and Y. I have a slight idea of if it's or not walkable, and that is essentially if we go to the grid. Like, I'm not so sure yet is the best idea, right? But it works for this example, and I would say I haven't think this through, but I would say it works every time. But the idea basically is that this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So if we pay attention to that naming convention, or well, to that indexing, right, which is the internal indexing, right? This point is 1 1. This point is 3 1. This point is 1 3, and this point is 3 3. So it seems to be like if both bits are in an odd position, that's it. It's not possible to paint that one, and I think that's very easy to implement. And if that's the case, if that's the case, and I think it's gonna be, I think that's a really elegant solution. I wonder if it works internally like that in the witness, because I'm in love with that way of seeing it. Essentially because it makes my life easier. There's probably way more into it, but we will discover that as we move on. But I think it's gonna be a solution good enough for our clone. Okay, so essentially I need to review a little bit more of my JavaScript. To be honest, I should study more, right? But can you do mod in JavaScript? Yeah, we can. obviously. So because we can do mod, right? For whoever doesn't know or weren't to know, what mod does is simply enough. Mod gives you, when you divide two numbers, it can be a proper division, I don't know the name, but it could be an exact division where you have 0 as the remainder, or you can have like 2 or 3 as a remainder. If you divide 2 by 2, that's a 0 remainder. If you divide 3 by 2, you have 1 as a remainder, the remainder. So mod essentially is, instead of dividing the number and giving you the result of the division, you divide it, but what mod returns is essentially the remainder. And it is really, I think it's a really useful operation every once in a while. I think it has really great uses, especially if you for some reason need to deal with odd and even numbers. So we are gonna write here, if both coordinates are an odd number, this bit shouldn't be paintable. Traversable. Traversable, is that a word? Let's learn English, programming, and everything in one go. Traversable. Okay, so if traversable, if it's the word, traversable sounds to me way better than walkable, because it makes more sense, isn't it? Is bit traversable. So if both coordinates are an odd number, this bit shouldn't be traversable. So if x modulus 2 equals 1 equals, not just a simple regular boring equal, we need 3, equals 1, then can be filled is false. Now, how does this work exactly? X modulus 2 basically means, is this odd? Is this not? You could, it's very, when every time you want to work with odd and even comparisons, this modulus 2 is probably a good choice, depending on what you want to do. So the remainder, if the remainder between x and 2 is 1, that means that x must be an odd number. Even 0 divided by 2 gives you 0 as a remainder. So I think we already did this little function. So this is quite powerful, because now we know, not only we know which bits are traversable in our grid, but we also know it regardless of how big our grid is, provided it has to be an odd size. Like it has to be 5 by 5 or 7 by 7. The grid cannot be 6 by 6. And I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that at least in 90% of the puzzles in the witness, it works like that. The grid is always an odd amount of columns or rows. So, being that the case, we already know if we can or not draw on a cell. So that's fine, okay. So if we go back to our enter function, which is the one we care about, yeah, we cannot color if the cell is traversable. So if ps.color equals empty color and bid, bid, that doesn't mean anything here, and color of x and y, no, I'm losing my mind, okay, is bid traversable. That's why what I wanted to write. X and y, let's remember that it comes from the function. It's called when you enter the grid. So if the player is drawing a line, the color is empty, so we are about to draw the new color, the line color, and that bit must be traversable. Traversable means that we can draw a line on it. Now if this cell is empty and is traversable, we color it, which is what we do. We add it to the line array as well. Okay, I'm checking the streaming goes as it should. Okay. The next step is to check what happens on the else, because now if the bit is not traversable, what happens? What happens is that we may be popping things, see? So is bit traversable xy if, that's a very good semicolon there. So if is bit traversable, if is bit traversable, okay, in that case we wanna check this. Now here's the thing, I'm popping it regardless of if I end up drawing the empty color or not, and that should not be the case. That's not good at all, right? So we do want to pop it here, and here we use line length -1. However, I'm not sure that really works. I'm making too many changes, so let's test what I just did. Okay, that seems to be working. Now we're talking. So essentially what we got so far is that we cannot draw here. See, we can do this, that's not good for us, but all of this is good. All of this is good. Oh yeah, I don't really care about that. No, I do. So the intention here is that we cannot draw here, 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 here. So we can draw everywhere except on that part. So we can draw a ton of things here, because I know how it works. I can break it enough. Not that that is hard to break, but now we cannot draw in there, and that's very good, because that's exactly what we want. Now it does look a little bit like the witness. So that's a very good point to be at. So we've done quite a bit today. I bet there's something else I can do before leaving. Let's try to clean the code. Cleaning the code would be very nice, indeed. So is bit traversable? Check. Backtracking. To check if the player is backtracking, the player has to be on the bit that was before he drew. So that would be, I believe, so in that case we may want to do this. This is really bad, because it's gonna break, yes or yes, it's gonna end up breaking, I believe. However, let's do it as an exercise. What I want to achieve here is that not only the bit needs to be traversable for us in order to delete or empty a cell, we also want the player to be backtracking. So in order to backtrack, the player has to be on the previous one that was drawn, and that's 2 steps back. Like, it's not the last one, but the previous to the last one. So previous, there's last and previous to last drawn cell. Yeah, that makes sense to me, at least. And previous to last cell X previous to last drawn cell X equals X, and previous to last drawn cell Y equals Y. I think I'm not showing the code. It hardly matters, but just to check what we've done so far, right? Check if the player is backtracking. If he is, erase the last bit that was painted. So we are checking the previous to last drawn cell, which is, welcome back, which is line dot length -2. So if bit is traversable, X and Y, this is a bit nasty. I don't like this, because this is gonna give me some issues, but we'll try to work that out later. The main point is that what we are doing now is trying to make sure that the player is backtracking rather than just on another cell that is a black cell. So let's check that works before going forward. I think that will work nicely. Let's see. This probably has unintended consequences. So okay, so far so good. I cannot go in here, see? That's not bueno. That's no bueno. See, that's not good. But that's, it's something. The point is that we cannot go in here anymore. I can do that, but that's that shouldn't happen. No problem. We'll work on that. That's actually That's actually it's gonna be a little bit hard for me. Aha, there we go. I knew we were going to get some error around this edge case. Cannot read property X of undefined. Undefined is the thing you are going to see the most if you work in JavaScript, unless you actually use proper tools like lint or something. In any case, the problem is that we are trying to access something that is outside of line array. So one way of solving it, that may be a little bit ugly, I don't know, but can easily be math min between 0 and whatever this length is. However, I need to review, I need to check if JavaScript has a min function. I'm pretty sure it does, right? But you always want to make sure before you write code that makes no sense. Yeah, it does work as I thought. So math.min 0 line.length minus 2. This basically means that we are never going to check a position in the array that is smaller than our array, and that hopefully will make things good enough for us, because I think it will mean is nothing is going on, and I'm already doing it again, am I? So, as I was saying, we used to have this and this is a nasty piece of code. Whoop. This is an ugly piece of code because we can have line.length minus 2 is minus 1, and you cannot go into an array like that. You cannot ask for that position, not normally at least. So line math.minimum between 0 and line length minus 2. This will help us avoid these issues. So back to the game. If we go back to the game, let's try that. Oh, now something is happening, or something is not happening. Now it seems like it only works if I go inside here, and that is because I'm doing the minimum and I should do the maximum. That makes more sense, isn't it? And the best part is I'm still getting ow. So let's go back to the code, because there's something that is clearly wrong here, which is this. We don't want the minimum, we want the maximum, because we are trying to get the end part of the array. If we do minimum between 0 and anything, it's always gonna be 0, isn't it? It should make sense to any brain except for mine. So let's go back to the game. Now if we try, it still works as intended, yeah, still nicely, just as we did before. That's fine, we can still do all weird shit, but if we manage to find whatever block was the last one that was thrown, we can end up finding our path back. So it's not so broken. Now that is broken, that's broken as shit. but that's fine, we'll find a way. That's broken as well, I don't like that at all, but we'll find a way around that. We'll probably have to do some kind of path tracing to figure out how the user got here, and it's probably just gonna be like, oh, this is in the way. this is the only way or the shortest way to get there. Yeah, that's probably gonna involve some more algorithm skills, and that's good because I need to develop those. So what's interesting about our current example? Basically that we cannot go inside this. It doesn't look as clear as in the witness, that we are like hitting a wall, so to speak. But well, whoever plays this, if anyone, they will know what the witness is, so they may understand, hopefully. In any case, let's try what should be the next step. The next step, let's try to figure out what will be the next step. The next step, and I think we don't have much time left for today. The next step, the next step is fixing that silly error. And this silly error happens because what's the point of it? We have this. I was thinking, instead of using that max min hack, we may just check what's the length of the line. So if the length is 1, that's it, we don't delete anything. That seems way easier than this stupid check. Not this, not yet. This check. This is what happens if you don't use the brain, right? If you were to use the brain, you will have reached that conclusion by yourself. Okay, so we are more or less in the same place. So let's go back to the code. I deleted something, and I didn't show you. But it's fine, it's gonna be fine. Everything is gonna be alright. So this previous to last round cell and this and this, all of what I did here, essentially this part is not okay. It's basically this part that is wrong. Math.max. We still want to know if the player is backtracking, but line.length -2 is fine, but we only want to do all of this part of code if the length of the line is not 1, if it's bigger than 1. Then if that's the case, we are not going to need the math_max function. We will leave it there just to avoid errors, but we want to check if line.length is more than 1. Just this little check is gonna be very nice to have. And if I copy and paste in a nicely manner, it's always nice to format. I like to have open keys everywhere, open braces. It's just a really old habit. So back to witness me. What should happen now? We can create lines, we cannot go into the block places, we will still have those bugs where we can break the line in some wizardy manners, but now the world won't break, the starting point will never break. That's what should happen. That's fine, and we can only backtrack. We cannot do crazy stuff. We can only backtrack. That's fine for now, okay? This is where problems start, but that's fine as well. So here's the thing, what happens in our edge case. Now we are here, no errors so far. That's a problem, right? But we cannot do much about that for now, but that's okay. Like if the user goes outside of the grid, what is going on here, right? We will try to, the way I want to solve that is to try and keep track of where the mouse is and paint the bit that is closer to the mouse, and I think that will do it. We'll see. I think that would actually solve this problem in any case, because it's essentially the same problem, isn't it? I would say so. Anyways, the good point here is that this edge case that was giving us some minor issues is not longer happening. So because that's fine, I think we can leave it there. I think that's gonna be a good stop for today. So I cannot click anywhere. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, right, is clean a little bit the code, because I have a lot of different comments here and there that we probably don't want anymore, because I'm done with them and I have a nice things here and there. So that's fine. That's fine. We don't care about this either. Okay. Well, that can stay there. This definitely delete it. This delete it. I don't need that anymore. Okay. Okay, fine. So I think that's gonna be it for today. Yeah. Seems like it's, I think, on for 102 minutes. I think it has been good, a couple of hours of streaming more or less. I will probably come back on Monday, maybe Tuesday, maybe I will never come back, who knows. I will probably post that I'm streaming on the Godot Engine Discord, probably on Reddit again, so that's gonna be it. Have a good weekend, thanks for watching, see you there.